is reality? Reality is what we believe to be true about the nature of our surroundings. But how do we come to decide that true nature? Do we conceive it completely on our own? Or do other devices gently sway our thoughts onto a pre-decided path? This is the hard question we must all ask ourselves as free humans on this planet. New sculpts your reality.
Reality. Hey guys, what's up? Wednesday night, you know what that time?
It's time for everything that can possibly go wrong to go wrong.
It's time for me.
Reality brief.
It's time for me to spill NOS all over my equipment.
Yeah, so tonight's episode is brought to you of Reality Brief is brought to you
Dan,
by.
talk to the mic, bub.
Oh yeah,
Same mic, same thing.
yeah, I know it's the thing over there with all the stuff and the buttons. But no, tonight's show is brought to you by Spilled Nos.
Spilled NOS.
Let's see, we're also brought to you by
The Jesuit Order.
yes, of course we
And Brondo. It's got what you crave. It's got disclosure. Oh, my. Dan, why don't you entertain our lovely guest here while I go find some stuff to clean this up with?
Oh man, don't you love it when things just happen at just the best time, the best possible time? Well, anyhow, it's been a crazy week in terms of we've got this big, beautiful supermoon outside right now, and in fact, I was just outside looking up at it, and I could have sworn I saw a shooting star, so I made a wish. What's it? I'm not gonna tell nobody what it is though, because that'll jinx it. I saw something last night, man. It was probably about 4 a.m, and I was outside looking at this moon, and I saw something on the right-hand side sparkle. Like there are these little sparkly things, and it could have been space junk, it could have been a satellite, but could have been a Hanabu. We don't know. Yeah, all I saw was like a tiny little glint in the sky. But what's it? We did. I hear there was an awesome
Speaking
eclipse.
of Hanabu, what do you call a ghost Nazi?
Huh?
A hauntaboo. Ha! Anyway, I was looking at that same supermoon, but I couldn't really see much of it because of all the clouds around.
Oh yeah, and if you go outside right now, there's a beautiful display of chemtrails being affected by scalar wave technology.
You know that nice when they unfold into that cloud and then they just ripple.
Yeah, and you can see the little sine waves in them.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I bet if you could probably play it on a record player.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "You're all gonna die. You're all gonna die. Ha ha, you die."
Well, I'm pretty sure if you could actually assemble the sine waves, it would sound something like.
So anyway, tonight we're asking the very important question. Is it too late for disclosure? Does anybody, the masses, really even give a fuck?
What did Ron Paul say? It already happened, and you missed it.
So, I mean, here's the thing. We got all this stuff coming out, right? We've got
The happening has come and gone.
Dude, what is up with your phone?
I don't know, man.
It's popular tonight.
Seriously.
Yeah, so we got all this stuff coming out. We've got, a good buddy of ours putting out free energy info. His name will remain unspoken. But, people... The problem is that the power structure is still there. And until we can get rid of that power structure, because, say, take, the energy thing, for example. Some people, a very small amount of people, may take it upon themselves to go ahead and construct that for themselves, right? But the vast majority of people, they ain't going to have it. You know what I'm saying? And this is due to years and years of programming, right? Everybody on this planet has been programmed since birth to think and act specific ways. Whether or not that program takes completely is a different story. So that's where you have the people who would do it and the people who wouldn't. So, and then couple that with the fact that if anybody tries to bring this to market to where someone could just buy it, like everyone's programmed to, then, they catch the 2 bullets to the back of the head suicide. And until that problem is solved, I don't think we'll ever see any of that. Like, it's just, unless they somehow in their evil dark room, in their little secret insider circles, figure out a way to monopolize on the free energy and still have their control like they do with the energy the way it is now. So, yeah, I'm digressing like a mofo from the original point, but...
Well, and actually, you know what? I do have something to sort of back that up. There was a video posted to Motherboard this week of a gentleman who claims to have a working fusion reactor right in his home. So we're going to check that out later.
Are we?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the old guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess what I want to start out with is this here from space.com.
UFO legacy. What impact will revelation of secret government program have?
So far, it hasn't had any.
Yep.
So, believers in aliens visiting Earth's friendly skies via unidentified flying objects couldn't ask for a secretive government group backed by federal black money. A talkative former U.S. military intelligence official. Fighter jet video of odd objects doing out-of-this-world maneuvers. Space mogul purportedly housing leftovers of unidentified aerial craft. It all has the feel of sliding open a top drawer in a new X-Files TV episode. Yes, the truth is out there.
Is it really?
A maxim made all the stranger by reports last month by both the New York Times and Politico magazine of the secretive Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, or AATIP for short. AA-TIP, baby.
Baby.
Along with the reporting, a video was released by the Department of Defense showing an O4 encounter near San Diego involving two, we've seen this, we've played it on the show, everybody's seen this by now, anybody who cares. And those flipping through the channels on Fox and Friends or whatever. Behind the scenes, AA-TIP was originated by the then United States Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, who garnered taxpayer dollars to start the program in 2007, along with the support of late Senators Daniel Inouye and Ted Stevens. So,
And Harry Reid himself may actually be a gray.
I think
Perhaps an alpha drag.
he seems
He's more
kind of shellish.
He's more of a beta drag. Yeah.
I wouldn't even give him that. All right, but behind the scenes is Robert Bigelow of Bigelow Aerospace.
That guy is cool.
Maybe.
From what I've seen of Robert Bigelow, he actually seems like somebody I'd hang out with. Like, he seems kind of cool. Like,
A Harry Reid political donor.
he was like, wasn't he the guy who was like, I don't give a damn if what they say, aliens are real.
I don't know. He might have been, man. A hefty chunk of the AA-TIP's $22 million budget, which is a drop in the goddamn ocean of the amount of money they spend on blowing shit up. Over 5 years, too, no less, was reportedly given to Bigelow's company to hire subcontractors and carry out research for the program.
Like John Quincy St. Clair.
Now toss into the mix Luis Elizondo, the former intelligence officer who ran the AA-TIP, which initially was under the Defense Intelligence Agency. He resigned from the job last October, advising CNN, I almost slipped and said CIA, post-departure that was his personal belief that there is a very compelling evidence that we may not be alone. What the fuck? There's compelling evidence that we may not be alone. Oh, boy. Elizondo told CNN that the craft studied by AA-TIP are displaying characteristics that are not currently within the U.S. inventory, nor in any foreign inventory that we are aware of. Whoa. You're going to stop now. Is that you?
Yeah.
I thought that was the video. Turning Point, Jan Harzan, the executive director of MUFON, sees the eye-opening reporting as a turning point in the study of UFOs. Oh, let me change the picture. Oh, look at that. Look at all them pictures.
Yeah, look at it's a whole bunch of UFOs right there.
And it looks like quite a few Hanabus.
It's a compendium of UFOs. And, I think a lot of those actually do correspond. A lot of them do look like Hanabus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, straight up. And, yeah, I mean, especially the ones that to South America, like Brazil.
Well, here's the thing, man.
The
How
Brazil
many,
one's pretty Hanabu'i looking.
what do you think the percentage of reported UFOs that are actually unexplainable are really shit we're flying around in, or shit that space Nazis are flying around in, whatever the case may be, but not actually ET? I mean, what is the percentage there? I mean, how often do you think these ETs allow themselves to be seen like that? I mean, I don't know. Anyway,
I'd say probably about at least 80 to 90% of them are domestic.
I would
versus imports.
I think I would believe that, man, because MUFON has been investigating and researching UFO phenomena since '69. The group's analysis over 100,000 UFO reports over the last 5 decades has shown 3 things to be true. 1, you need to pay the money to be able to search the database. 2, UFOs are real. 3, UFOs represent extremely advanced technology. 4, tremendous breakthroughs will happen if we make it safe for our scientists and engineers to study the phenomena unimpeded. Okay, so there you go. And this brings us to our point. Again, I mean, is it too late for disclosure? Is the power structure too entrenched to let some of this shit out? I mean, granted, we get dribs and drabs here and there, but I think it's beyond the point, man. And by the time it all comes out, nobody's even going to give a fuck, because they're going to be so, wound up in their AI self, walking around getting ruled over by their AI dog or whatever.
Or they'll be in some virtual world, like splashing around with virtual dolphins.
Man, that one was loud, dude. Turn that down. So, these breakthroughs involve the fields of propulsion, energy, communication, biology, and consciousness, just to name a few. A consciousness field?
What if consciousness is a field?
You get it? That's what I'm saying. The recently released fighter jet camera video of craft off the coast of San Diego is just the tip of the iceberg. No shit, really.
They sure say just the tip of this a lot. Like, I think that's some kind of subliminal message.
You think it's like a trigger?
It could be.
Our military vaults are full of such videos and data on these objects. Now that the spill gates have been opened a little, it's time for the rest to come out in an orderly fashion. And in doing so, make it safe for our scientists and engineers to study this phenomena without fear of ridicule or retribution. I think ridicule would probably be the last thing that you would need to be worried about.
Look, it's the age of the internet. Anything, literally anything, is going to get ridiculed at some point.
It's like I said, man, once we solve the problem of the 2 suicide bullets to the back of the head...
Yeah, that's the biggest stumbling block to progress.
I mean, it's a big thing, man. Like how... All right, so... But with funding provided by Congress and private industry. Blah, 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 blah. No national security threat.
That's not what they said on the Fox News, though, with the Tucker Carlson.
Nah, that's not what they said on the X-Files either.
No. Well, actually, on the X-Files, they said, what's it? You guys are pretty much stuck here. Have fun.
Yeah, what a troll-ass episode that was, man. So anyway, if it's no national security, how do you come to that conclusion if all you know is there's some shit flying around in the sky, you don't know what it is? How can you possibly come to the conclusion that there's no threat there, just based on the fact that nothing's been done yet, or at least nothing's been done that you know of? I mean, just on the surface, this is horse shit. Excuse me. The new revelation about the AA tip
really
is evidence that the U.S. government has been researching and taking this issue seriously for decades, despite claiming no interest in the phenomenon since 1969.
They're so disinterested, they launch stuff like Project Moondust.
Yeah, anytime anything falls out of the sky, it could be a bolt off the ISS. They got a full squad to go out and recover it, and if you go anywhere near it, you're getting your ass busted.
Like all the idiots that get caught selling space shuttle parts on eBay and stuff.
Excuse me. Indeed, between 1952 and its termination in 1969, the U.S. Air Force official UFO investigation program, known as Project Blue Book, came to the following set of conclusions. No UFO reported, investigated, and evaluated by the Air Force has ever given any indication of threat to our national security. There has been no evidence submitted to or discovered by the Air Force that sightings categorized as unidentified represent technological developments or principles beyond the range of present-day scientific knowledge.
Besides turning all of our nukes off. There is that.
And there's been no evidence indicating that sightings categorized as unidentified are extraterrestrial advanced technology. I know it's a big one, but I think it's important that we go over this one completely.
Just how advanced.
Rojas... I missed it. Rojas endorses the scientific study of the UFO phenomena and believes that all information regarding unidentified aerial objects should be released so that the data can be properly analyzed by the scientific community. Remember, the U is for unidentified, not alien. Yeah, I would say remember that too. Which is also director of operations for Open Minds Production.
Well, unless we're talking about the actual Nachtwaffen, in which case doesn't it stand for like Uber Sturmbannführer or something like that?
Uber. Ubermensch slave collector. We don't know what these things are, Rojas told Space.com. Just because we get uncomfortable with the idea of aliens does not mean we should not investigate when the people who pilot our most advanced technology say they encounter something that outclasses their aircraft. It would be highly negligent. It would be highly negligent not to investigate.
You gotta go drinking that stuff.
Oh, God, it's got what I crave. It's got all the disclosure. Another striking point in recent disclosure, Rojas added, is that the incidents are very similar to events that have been recorded by the U.S. Air Force and other governments for decades. Yeah, but now they're just saying we're actually doing it. Tone of evidence. Evidence. There's one head scratcher. Why release this information now?
Only one.
Yeah, only one head scratcher. But this is a definite head scratcher, all right?
The rest of them
Why
are ball
release
scratchers.
this information now? Some see it as a trial balloon to take the poll alien visitors. Look, man, we've talked about this a million times. I mean, all right, so...
You're never going to get the big news other than past what you've already got.
Well, here's the thing. I think if you get the big news, it'll either be forced on them because they'll land like in Times Square or some shit.
Yeah.
You know, or you'll get the big news, but it'll be a big old fucking lie. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, back in the day, Bill Cooper was always talking about the
Either
fake
way,
alien
don't get on the
invasion.
ships.
Right? Exactly. Don't get on them damn ships.
Do not get on them ships.
So back in the day, Bill Cooper used to always talk about that fake alien invasion plot and all that. He came later and recanted that and said felt like he was being set up to kind of push that. I don't know.
You know who else did the same shit? Jim Mars.
Right.
You remember how he recanted? He recanted after Alien Agenda, but you know, then it turned out that he really probably should.
Well, they were leading them to believe that, and then turns out a lot of the shit they were, well, at least in Bill Cooper's case, was actually our shit, right? So, you know, there's a lot of speculation about the blue beam and all that shit. I don't really know. I haven't seen any kind of actual documentation on blue beam other than, you know, what y'all have seen. There's nothing solid there. Obviously, they're doing shit like that. Whether or not blue beam is for real, I don't know. But, you know, it could be that kind of case. It could be a case of building up the alien savior who ushers in, instead of an attack, right, like we would expect, it could be the alien savior who's going to come down and make everything great for everyone if you just get on the damn ships. Seen V. Could be something like that. Is the public... Okay, I can't say I know why things are coming out at this time. Stanton Freeman, a retired nuclear physicist and longtime investigator and lecturer on the UFO phenomena. I appreciate the courage of those former officials who came forth, Freeman said. He criticized debunkers who advocate listening for alien signals but ignore the tone of evidence of alien visitors. Small program, little to show. Robert Schieffer is a writer and one of the leading skeptical investigators of UFOs. In his summary of recent events, He notes that Robert Bigelow had been a strong believer in UFOs and alien visitors all his life. He was a campaign contributor to Senator Reed and on some of Reed's causes, and persuaded Reed that the military budget ought to include funds for the study of UFOs. You know, I think that it's so hard because it's so deep. I mean, there's so many layers to all of this, but on the surface, if there's any money going to be spent from government money to study UFOs, I'm not sure the military is the best ones to do the shit.
They're kind of like the last people I would. You know,
I mean, what are you going to do when you find one then? Just blow it the fuck up? What is wrong with you?
Then again, I mean, you know, like if I think that part of the conditioning from, like, you know, watching Star Trek and seeing that, you know, oh, the Space Navy, you know, they're the good guys, or SG-1, you know, oh, the Army, they're the good guys, you know, or the Air Force, they're the good guys. Like, you know, people are conditioned to expect the military or the government of some sort to be the ones making contact.
I guess it makes sense, too, on the surface level. If you've got things flying around in the sky and you don't know what the hell they are, to have the military investigate it, because it could be the new Russian thing or something. It shouldn't necessarily, and it shouldn't be in secret. You know what I mean? If they're not, why is it in secret then? If they're not seeing their own ships, you know what I mean? Like this guy that's flying around and he sees these things doing these impossible maneuvers and shit, but, you know, I mean, he just don't got the briefing for his compartment. You know what I mean? To say what it actually is, one of our ships.
Right.
Crap, where was I?
So, but yeah, I mean, you know, I think that it might be better in the long run if it's, you know, like a private group of researchers that's actually the ones making first contact. Like, I hope it's SETI, you know?
All right, well, you know, I think we could probably, if you guys want to read the rest of this, you can go to space.com. Interestingly enough, we were talking about the false flag majiggy with the fake alien invasion or what have you. This one popped up. Again, from the British tabloids. You gotta love them, man. You really do. Pentagon UFO. Claim alien disclosure of false flag to induce martial law. There we go, martial law. That's one of them damn trigger words. It's not time for you to talk. Anyway, like I was saying, we essentially live under martial law as it is now. The world headline-grabbing release of a video of a seemingly inexplicable UFO. The U.S. Pentagon may have been part of a cunning plan to bring in martial law, according to alien conspiracy theorists. UFO truth seekers celebrated an historic milestone last month after it emerged the Department of Defense had a top secret unit investigating the threat posed by UFOs until 2012. Footage filmed by a U.S. Navy pilot apparent... Yeah. Let's get to the meat here. Many believe that aliens not only exist, but are secretly living in bases on Earth, and the U.S. government... the USSR government...
The USSA government.
The USSA covers it up for a return in flying saucer technology. However, some members of the Mutual UFO Network remain suspicious. MUFON is the world's largest organization dedicated to UFO research. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. All about that. Okay, here's the theory. PTLeader.com reported, those who attended were far from feeling credulous or validated by the New York by the government. They freely exchanged theories about the possible nature of UFOs as well as what might motivate the mainstream press and government to release such a story. A frequently voiced suspicion was that the government might be laying the groundwork to present extraterrestrials as the next threat to our national security, requiring further increases in military spending and curtailments of civil liberties. Possibly. They could be building up the next god, though, too. Right? Mm-hmm. Oh, man. So, I mean, the theories are out there. Dan, you want to handle this next one?
Yeah. What's it? Oh,
this is
giant lasers ripping holes in space.
Yeah, this is another big giant. Why? Just because you can, don't mean you should.
You know, I probably want to tear giant holes in space with a laser at least 3 times a day.
But at least you have a reason.
I just don't have access to one. But anyhow, this is from mysteriousuniverse.org, and this leads January 2017, 2018. Scientists building giant lasers to rip holes in space. What could possibly go wrong? How could this possibly...
I'm ready to irradiate your existing brain cells.
Yeah, pretty much. What's it? You think you're on something. You think you got you got your space laser, and you're getting ready to rip some holes in space, and you're all like, and then the universe ends, and you're shit out of luck. But so when somebody says they plan to break the vacuum, this probably means that they're a parent about to funny here, somebody's gonna break a vacuum cleaner. But if they're a laser physicist, it might mean that they're getting ready to use a laser to rip a hole in empty space and pull out the matter-antimatter combo of electrons and positrons. Isn't ripping holes in space the job of the Large Hadron Collider? Regardless of who's doing the ripping, is this a good idea? Hang on, let's ask it one more time. Is this a good idea? Think Snarky. Once for yes, twice for no. Yeah, Snarky says no.
Snarky knows what's up.
As for with many sci-fi to real life stories these days, see cloning monkeys, and we'll get to that later. This news comes out of China. Rujin Li is leading a team at the Shanghai Super Intense Ultra Fast Laser Facility in developing a laser that will create the world's most powerful light pulses. How powerful? How powerful? This team has already built a record-breaking laser that distills light into pulses measuring 5.3 billion watts, or petawatts.
Petawatts?
As opposed to what they use to power Epstein Island, which is petawatts.
Yeah.
They're nearing completion of a 10 petawatt laser that is 1,000 times more powerful than the world's electrical grids combined. And they're just 5 years away from the machine with the doomsday-ish name of the Station of Extreme Light. Yes, you have to scream it. That will be capable of pulses reaching 100 petawatts. So what do they plan to... What are they going to do with this? What do they plan to point the Station of Extreme Light at? As usual, researchers have a noble cause.
They're going to shoot it at the sun.
Yeah. A noble cause. Hey, anything the state does is a noble cause, right?
Hey, man, you know what they say? The road to the next dimension over is paved with a noble cause.
Yeah, really. How easy it is to believe in the common good when such belief is rewarded with wealth and status and power. So, the good purpose of building a cylinder of sapphire coated with titanium capable of shooting a 100 petawatt laser that can create temperatures never seen on Earth is to help develop new medicines.
I'm like a child here. I still can't get past 100 petawatts.
Once that's done, the fun starts. Aiming the Station of Extreme Light at a space vacuum will break the vacuum and prove Albert Einstein's E equals mc squared in the reverse direction by creating matter. In this case, electrons and their antimatter counterparts, positrons, from energy. Or as Lee puts it, it means you would generate something from technically nothing. But
so, I mean,
what could possibly go wrong?
Could this be more of that... Remember we were talking about that...
It really is the beginning of replicator technology.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what they were talking about with the deep space particles.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you remember we had an article about that, back when we were in the garage, when we were talking about...
You mean the station, back when we were on the radio station?
Yeah. What's it, how they found a way to use polarized light, to get virtual particles to flip from being temporary to real.
Yeah.
So this looks like a more elaborate version of that. This probably depends on where you aim the Station of Extreme Light. China is working on lasers to put in orbit and disintegrate space junk, debris, and perhaps dangerous asteroids. The U.S. Department of Energy is developing ground lasers to knock out drones and incoming North Korean nukes. Its non-weapon form, the Station of Extreme Light, is a particle accelerator that, unlike the Large Hadron Collider, is inexpensive, small, and easy to build. This could put the LHC out of business and potentially put that power in the hands of entities whose purposes may not be as noble as those of the government. Hang on, let's read that again. Whose purposes may not be as noble as those in the government. Oh,
So,
boy.
like, is this station of extreme
Jesus.
light like a love and light cannon?
No, yeah, apparently, like,
Yeah, we need to get some. I know some people who use one of them.
okay, so they admit that that's debatable, that the government having no noble purposes, but we've got to remember that somebody will control this power. Remember, it's just the opposite of nuclear power's matter to energy side of Einstein's theory, and we know how that worked out. Well, yeah, yeah.
Not as noble as the government.
Tee-hee. The one last thing to think about, China is leading the research in these vacuum-ripping lasers, and Russia is not far behind. The U.S. is. It would mean that you could generate something from nothing. Isn't it time to stop dreaming of phasers and ripping holes and start working on harnessing the power of lasers for something other than a weapon? Implying this will be used for something other than a weapon, but, that would be really nice.
Well, this guy, Paul Seaburn, he sounds like a real...
True believer here.
Yeah, man, he's where it's at.
Well,
So-
it'd be nice if everybody had a reason to share your optimism, sir, but I do not.
What about the poo-poo sandwiches, man?
The poo-poo
The
sandwiches?
poo-poo sandwiches. Speaking
the
of
poo-poo,
replicators,
poo-poo.
check this out. The final frontier. Astronauts could recycle their waste into protein paste. Needs more wasabi. We might sometimes talk about eating crap on a...
I'm dead.
Let me start that
I
over.
can't even.
We might sometimes talk
That's a hell of
about...
a way to lead a story.
We might sometimes talk about eating crap on a night in, but that's nothing compared to the more literal crap future astronauts could well find themselves chowing down on.
Toss salad, you in some shit now.
That's that's thanks to researchers at Penn State University who have been using... Oh, man, how many petawatts does it take to make one of these crap sandwiches? Who have been using a research grant from NASA to develop technology for breaking down solid and liquid waste and transforming it into food that's hygienic and safe for humans.
The special Sandusky sauce.
Albeit something you probably won't be serving at a dinner party anytime soon. Hey, man. Hey, baby, invite your parents over. We're going to have shit sandwiches.
maybe
The revolting...
maybe an Illuminati dinner party.
Yeah. The resulting, not revolting, food stuff is high in both protein and fat, and apparently not dissimilar to savory British sandwich. And apparently not dissimilar to savory British sandwich spread Marmite.
Vegemite, I'd believe.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Look, I knew there was something wrong with them goddamn king lovers. Poo-poo sandwiches for everyone. This is not the typical research direction for my laboratory. But
Would you care for a dump crumpet?
poop pebs and tea. But among other things, we do work with unusual microorganisms. Professor of Geosciences at Penn State told Digital Trends. In 2009, NASA had a call for proposals for educational research projects that advanced the topic of space colonization. Lisa Steinberg, who is an environmental engineer, and I proposed to call that general concept here of coupling anaerobic digestion to microbial growth of non-pathogenic microbes. So that was all a bunch of fucking jargon for poop sandwiches. The proof of concept system that the Penn State researchers built involves sending human waste through a fixed film, plugged through an anaerobic reactor which converts the organic matter into methane and then carbon dioxide. The reactor uses a plastic media with a high surface area to volume ratio and is typically used in aquariums and ponds to treat ammonium from fish waste. In our reactor, this plastic media provided a surface for the bacteria to attach to. The waste material flowed through the reactor and past these microbial biofilms where the attached microbes would remove organic matter and other nutrients. Vitamin B12, baby. Shit sandwich. Steinberg told Digital Trends a special group of bacteria in the reactor named methogens methanogens, produce methane, which we use to grow in, wow, that's a big word, a methane-consuming microbe. Using the gas from the anaerobic chamber allowed us to prevent the transfer of potential pathogens or other unwanted microbes into the reactor growing M. capsulatus. M. pupsamachus. Sadly, the project is currently concluded, and Steinberg says there's nothing else planned. No shit spaghetti?
No, I was hoping for shit burritos. Yeah.
Although she noted that it could be picked up by another research team wanting to continue the work. Deep space flight is really difficult, with food production being one of the many tough-to-tackle issues. House concluded, I'm most excited by the concept that remarkable and sometimes extreme microorganisms might help make deep space flight more practical. Naturally, this paper is only a small step, and I think that we have not necessarily found the optimal solution with respect to which microbes are used and how to make the perfect shit sandwich. So that was up on Digital Trends, but it's been floating around. There's several articles about this.
About the
poop, astronaut poop sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you know what? No, just you throw that shit out the airlock. No.
It needs more wasabi, bro. So, recently there's been a big surge in what seems like the militarization of space, and everybody's clamoring to get the best new weapons up there and the newest systems to take out satellites and whatnot and what have you. But so we got this latest article here with news from China. So Dan, you want to go ahead? You go for it, bro.
Yeah, apparently China and Russia are soon going to be capable of destroying U.S. satellites, which, I remember a while back China launching a missile at one of their own satellites just to say, like, hey, we can.
Yeah, remember when or was that us that did that?
No, that was them.
Well, it was several years ago when there was another thing like that happened involving us. I don't know, whatever. I can't remember, so let's just pretend like it never happened.
J2 Intelligence warns new dangers to low Earth orbit satellites. China and Russia are developing anti-satellite missiles and other weapons, and soon will be capable of damaging or destroying all U.S. satellites in low Earth orbit, according to the Pentagon's Joint Staff. The Joint Staff Intelligence Directorate, known as J2, issued the warning in a recent report on the growing threat of anti-satellite ASAT weapons from those states, according to officials familiar with the assessment. The report concludes that China and Russia will be capable of severely disrupting or destroying U.S. satellites in low Earth orbit in the next several years, officials said. The capability to attack low Earth orbit satellites could be in place by 2020. Now, the whole point is, why would you want to do something like that? Because
exactly. What is in these satellites?
Once there's a domino effect of shit, like of things flying around the Earth. So if you blow up one satellite, it goes from being one solid object to a cloud of shrapnel.
Not to mention,
and that cloud of shrapnel is going to fuck everything else up that it hits.
Not to mention,
doesn't care whether it's your shit, their shit, whoever shit. It's gonna destroy it.
Aren't the majority of the satellites fueled by a nuclear reactor?
I believe a lot of them are.
Plutonium and shit.
Uranium at least.
So they're spreading all that out there. I mean, what the hell is in these that you need to wipe it out? You need to blow it up. I mean,
yeah. I mean, why would you go through that?
I don't know. I guess
maybe
that's just the times we live in.
Cause.
Maybe it's just the times we live in. Every country's got a goddamn satellite orbiting the Earth with a nuke in it or something.
Great.
You know? I mean, who knows, dude? I guess we're not privy to all the details.
That's why I would expect extraterrestrials, if they came here and saw that we had orbital weapons, but they were turned around and aimed at our own planet.
They would be laughing, dude.
Yeah, what's it? There's that one episode of Deep Space Nine where Quark's like, they irradiated their own planet?
No, they're not. They're plutonium. Shut up. You don't know that in the chat. No, I guess a lot of them are solar powered, but they do have ones up there that are fueled by nuclear reaction. And I know this because they're falling down all the fucking time. Like what? Cesium and shit too?
Yeah, cesium-137.
All right, where were we at?
Fun stuff. So, yeah. The J2 report echoes a similar but less specific warning from Director of National Intelligence Dan Coates in May. We assess that Russia and China perceive a need to offset any U.S. military advantage derived from military, civil, or commercial space systems and are increasingly considering attacks against satellite systems as part of their future warfare doctrine, Coates said. Both will continue to pursue a full range of anti-satellite weapons as a mean to reduce U.S. military effectiveness. Coates added that both nations are pursuing information operations and seeking international agreements that would limit U.S. defenses in space against such weapons. Russia's space weapons include a diverse suite of capabilities to affect satellites in all orbital regimes. Coates testified to Congress, including an airborne laser for use against U.S. satellites. But what I really think they're probably going to do is just fill in a couple of empty shipping containers full of vodka bottles and fly them up there and let them loose in orbit, and they'll just bonk into stuff and knock it back to Earth. Oh Jesus, can you imagine that getting hit by a bottle of Grey Goose at 30,000 miles an hour?
How hard do you got to make the guy's job? You know, the guy that sits there in the room and tracks all his shit. How hard do you got to make it on this guy? I mean, I'm sure it's all done with AI now and shit, and there's really just someone sitting there waiting for the AI to say something, but...
Space expert Michael J. Lister said that the threat posed by anti-satellite weapons is not new. Both the U.S. and Soviet Union developed systems to degrade space systems during the Cold War. The U.S. ASAT program, Program 437, took the form of the ASM-135 missile, or flying tomato can, and was intended by the Reagan administration to be a deterrent to the Soviet co-orbital system, said Lister, founder of Space Law and Policy Solutions, a consulting firm. When Congress defunded development of the ASM-135, there was no follow-on program to provide the desired deterrent effect. Russia did not completely scrap its program, and China is pursuing its own. And this leaves the U.S. with a conundrum of how to deter the threat, aside from the hope of resilience. Resilience is a term used by the Pentagon for protecting, hardening, or replacing satellites in a future conflict. Low Earth orbit satellites operate between 100 and 1,242 miles above the Earth and are used for recon and Earth and ocean observation. These low-orbiting satellites provide key military data used in preparing battlefields around the world for deploying forces in a conflict or crisis. Also, weather monitoring, communication satellites including Iridium, Globalstar, and Orbcomm circle in low Earth orbit. So there's all sorts of interesting facts and figures through here, and it's a long article, but if you guys want to check it out, it's over at freebeacon.com under National Security.
And you know it's interesting because it is kind of horse shitty, because I mean if the Air Force has got the TR-XX series, and even on the surface they've got the X-37, was it A? B or some shit, I don't know, whatever. The one that's been in space for like 3 years, flying around.
Oh, the XB-37?
They could easily retrofit that to knock out some satellites. They don't need to have a satellite hanging out up there, man. They got a plane in space 24/7 on the surface that they let you know about. So, I mean, it seems a little moot to be like worrying about all this developing of these satellites to take other satellites out when they got shit flying around up there that could just wipe it out at any moment. I mean, I don't know, whatever.
So I have something that just came through my desk, and we found this on this interestingengineering.com site. But
where'd you get that
this
from?
is actually interesting. Another article that we linked to. But this is coming out of the automotive industry, and we don't really talk about a whole lot of automotive industry stuff, but
sure
I
we
just
do.
thought this was kind of crazy. Volkswagen suspends its chief lobbyist amid reports of fume tests on monkeys. German automakers funded a research group that allegedly tested diesel exhaust fumes on monkeys and dinitrogen monoxide.
Well, I guess they ran out of people.
On humans. Nope.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting, man.
Yeah, these guys, I swear, these guys just can't even go one whole century without gassing something. What's it? In 2015, it was revealed by the EPA that Volkswagen had been cheating on some tests that made their cars look more fuel-efficient and eco-friendly than they actually were. A device was built into the vehicles to make them look like they were performing better in some metrics than they actually were.
Yeah, I remember that, and they got billions of dollars over that, man.
The monkeying around didn't end there. VW could possibly be subject to a bunch of pop-up ads and another scandal again this year, as the German automaker is reported to have funded a test that intentionally exposed monkeys to diesel fuel exhaust and humans to nitrogen dioxide.
Oh, and humans.
Yeah. According to CNN, Volkswagen has suspended its top lobbyist due to this troubling news. Volkswagen has tried to distance itself from the organization that performed the test.
Okay,
claiming
before
that they're
you go.
against animal cruelty. Animal cruelty in any form. They're fine with human cruelty.
Just so we know, we're on the same page. Volkswagen, what's that mean in German, right? The people's car?
Uh-huh.
Okay, who designed Volkswagen? Hitler and Porsche?
Yeah, that one guy.
Hitler and Porsche.
Yeah.
So, the People's Wagon, Gas and Monkeys. Pretty sweet.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl!
All right.
So if you guys want to read more about that, it's over at interestingengineering.com. But
You know, while we're on the topic of cars, check this one out, guys. This one is freaking awesome. Ford makes plans for an automated police car that takes the law into its own hands. We'll get to that one later.
yeah. Oh, boy.
Can we trust artificially intelligent vehicles to uphold the law? We will see as Ford has officially filed for a patent on an automated police car. Oh, shit, here we go, baby. Man, you seen, what was it, THX 1138? Something like that? The George Lucas's,
first flick?
yeah.
Yeah.
With the police robot on the motorcycle. Remember that?
Yep.
Will autonomous robots be the ones issuing arrests and tickets in the future? It's not out of the question. Oh, gosh. Hold on, guys. Give me just 1 second here to do this correctly.
Correctly?
Look at me. Yeah,
What do you mean
I'm
correctly?
going to put this up here like that, and I'm going to put this down here like that, so they got something to look at while I read it.
Oh, you mean something besides our ugly mugs, huh?
Yeah. Will autonomous robots be the ones issuing arrests and tickets in the future? It's not out of the question. Ford has officially filed for a patent on an automated police car. Now, this does not mean that an autonomous, artificially intelligent police vehicle will actually hit the roads. Give me a fucking break. That's exactly what it means. Or even be fully developed.
I cast Destroy Droid.
Well, you know what? They could be right, because they might just start working on that and then all of a sudden come up with a better idea for a RoboCop mech and then just scrap the whole car idea, the Knight Rider thing. But it does show that such an idea is being taken seriously and could be a future possibility. So we got this diagram here you guys are looking at. An illustration from the patent. Wow. The autonomous police vehicle described by the patent would also be able to detect violations made with other vehicles. It could do this entirely on its own, but would also be capable of working with surveillance cameras and/or roadside sensors. The AI police vehicle would be able to issue citation or ticket, but it could take matters even further if it decided it was necessary. It could pursue and follow remotely executing one or more actions as it is stated by the patent. Murky ethics.
But now, does the robot know when to go, that's enough of your bullshit, sir?
Hit you with the mace. Man, I never loaded it up, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Murky ethics. In addition to being able to wirelessly connect to the offending vehicle to communicate with the passenger and issue a citation, right? So now you get tickets just on your display in your car.
Yeah, they just pop up on your HUD.
Are you kidding me? The automated police car would be able to distinguish whether or not the vehicle should receive a ticket or just a warning. Fucking really? What is the criteria for that anyway? I don't get it, because I've been let off for some crazy shit before, man. Like, you have 1 second to comply.
Especially when they find out that you're...
Like, the patent also suggests that the police officers might be able to take over the AI vehicle or even use its wireless database to get information on suspects and offenders. Now, while this is still just of AI, it has already been shown that AI is not as reliable and unbiased as we thought in analyzing repeat offenders.
It's really not. And actually, when we get back from the break here that we're going to take here in a little bit, we've got another article to talk to you about AI influencing the future of judges.
Ooh, we've got plenty of AI-related news. Plus, we've got UFO sightings and DARPA. What is those crazy fuckers up to now?
We even have more monkey news.
So, if the concept of the AI police action moves forward, is it something we can trust to fairly uphold the law? Dun, dun, dun. Nope.
Nope, it's going to be all like, I am the law.
You have 3 seconds to comply. Damn, that one was loud too.
I know, they're all loud.
3 seconds to comply. Let me swap this over. So yeah, I mean, it's just getting crazy, man. It will be soon, man. We're going to have RoboCop running around fucking Oh, and I wonder how much of the, obviously the police brutality shit is an issue. People are getting killed left and right, but I wonder how much of the whole Soros pushing of the Black Lives Matter thing and all that stuff is linked to this. Like, are they going to let it get so bad? Is that the plan? Let it get so bad and so fucked up that where people will accept robots as police officers instead of actual police officers because they feel like the robot will be unbiased?
Maybe that's the long-term agenda.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Long-range penetration type stuff that takes over 200-300 years to come to fruition.
But yeah, like I said, we'll be back in a few, and when we get back, we've got plenty of stuff to check out
And
for you guys.
And all you guys are out there, listening to this fine music that myself has been able to provide for you guys. If you decide you really like our show, consider maybe stopping by our Patreon or, 50 cents a month. That's less than one of them starving kids in like Portsmouth.
I don't think you can do that. It would be 50 cents every 2 weeks.
Ah, there you go. So like $1 a month. But like, if you really like our show, consider helping us get some better gear. It'd be awesome. And if you don't want to make a recurring thing, you can always stop by our Bandcamp, download one of our previous shows, pay whatever you want. You could pay nothing for it, and load up your MP3 and listen to our nonsense for 4 of our shows gets it through one shift.
Bam. And that's how you do it.
To us, thought they would follow us, but we were wrong. Thought they would listen, thought they would see, but we were wrong. I'd save the Mindless animals will seek out and hurt you, distort you and twist you, and misrepresent you. Your elegant innocence has transformed you into a definite target of manipulations and greedy ravagings that plunder your purity, spoil your seed, shadow you under scrutiny, or hide you entirely from consensus reality. Veritas, one and only. Veritas, our own. Veritas. Seeking her endlessly, she's ever elusive. Further and further now, your source gets diluted, and the well is always deeper. How deep can you dive? How deep is your need to stare the truth in the eye? The truth is that you hide from her. You are vulnerable as you lied to yourself. Pitiable as you do. Veritas, one and only. Veritas, our own. Veritas.
Ladies and gentlemen,
That was a lovely break.
welcome back to Reality Brief Hour 2, the hour of power, the hour of ancient knowledge, the hour of disclosure that you talk about. Yep, none of that bullshit, sir.
The hour of the
No,
squirrel.
it's not bullshit. It's really great music. You know, the problem with this is, see, I know the creator of said music, right? And I keep telling this guy, come on, we need new music, all right? Because it's getting old. We've been playing this shit for a year. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, here, check this out. I'm like, dude, did you forget how to record? What is this? Get back to the drawing. What's the matter with you? Over and over. And then he goes like 3 years and he doesn't even do nothing. God, this guy's so slack. Guys, I want you to go over to my cell's Bandcamp and email this dude and tell this dude, make music because you're sick of hearing the same one. That being said, check us out on the Facebook. It's Reality Brief. You'll find it. We got the group there. It's great. Join it.
You should hang out.
Got a Twitter account that sometimes stuff gets posted on, I think. And the YouTube channel you're watching on now. We got Twitch and
every
Daily
once in a while.
Motion and all that shit. Check it out if you like.
Check out our group, especially if you want to check out the free Shitpost Fridays.
Oh yeah, Shitpost Fridays is a new thing we've instituted in the Reality Brief group, and it's been going off pretty smashingly, I must say.
What's it? And of course, if you ever want to like really get in on the action, you really want to get in on the action, get all on this, all up in it, all over it, then you should pick up that phone and dial 757-528-8130. Give us a reason to use this soundbite,
We are being hailed, sir.
which we haven't had a chance to use yet because nobody's called in.
Yeah, I mean, you can give us a call. Well, we just didn't have it loaded at the time. You can give us a call and talk about any of the things we've been touching on. What do you think? Is it too late for disclosure? Is it too late? Is it past the point where it even makes a fucking difference? Give us a call. Let us know what you think. And before we went to the break, we were talking about the RoboCop police cars. AI with an attitude, brought to you by Ford.
Yep, they're going to serve and protect the shit out of you.
The next thing we've got on the docket, AI in the court when algorithms rule on jail time. That's right, you heard it. Algorithms rule on jail time.
As authoritarian as this sounds, like, I got to think that the law and the courts and the system tend to screw people over way more than they let them off. You know what I mean? For every one person that's like, oh, well, he seems like a fine, upstanding lad, we're going to let him go.
Right.
They're like, we're going to make an example out of you for like 10.
The people that get let go have opted to take a jury trial as opposed to a bench trial.
Right.
Cleveland Associated Press. The centuries-old process of releasing defendants on bail, long the province of judicial discretion, is getting a major assist, courtesy of artificial intelligence.
Maybe it's
That's right.
Maybe it's because
That's
organic
right.
intelligence
So-
is in such short supply these days.
When you go in front of the magistrate, because, maybe you were out walking around drunk or whatever, and you need to just go ahead and get a PR bond or whatever that is. Well,
Maybe, especially like, for people who happen to like ingest a bag of something funny and then go running down the street naked, you might.
what color am I? But anyway, like I was saying, so now you got to deal with this AI that's going to tell you whether or not you can get out on bond. Isn't that awesome? Like, half the time you probably shouldn't have even been arrested. It's like, oh, somebody stole my bike. I'm going to call the cops, and the cops come and arrest you. Then you get there, and the AI robot tells you can't get the fuck out.
Yeah.
In late August, Hercules Shepard Jr. walked up to the stand in a Cleveland courtroom dressed in an orange jumpsuit. 2 nights earlier, an officer had arrested him at a traffic stop with a small bag of cocaine, and he was about to be arraigned. Judge Jimmy Jackson Jr. brought to you by Brondo. Looked at
That ought to be a TV show right there. Like,
Judge Jimmy Jackson Jr. Yeah, guilty, I said. Judge said guilty. Peace. He looked at Shepard, then down at a computer-generated score on the front of the 18-year-old's case file. 2 out of 6 for likelihood of committing another crime. 1 out of 6 for likelihood of skipping court. The score makes Shepard as a prime candidate for pretrial release with low bail. We asked the court to take into all consideration, said Shepard's public defender, David McGay. I'm for free. I'm the best. Not long ago, Jackson would have decided Shepard's near-term future based on a reading of court files and his own intuition. But now, Brondo makes it easy. But in Cleveland and a growing number of other local and state courts, judges are now guided by computer algorithms before ruling whether criminal defendants can return to everyday life or remain locked up awaiting trial.
you are an unfit mother. Your children are now property of Carl's Jr.
Man, and the only thing missing from that, though, is the police are actually just retarded people.
That's
right?
not.
So,
that's
like,
not missing.
No, what I'm saying is, in this case, they're going to be robot cars. So you're gonna
gotcha.
go to the Carl's Jr. machine and get you an empty box of tacos, and then they're gonna gas you, and a robot cop is gonna take your kid away. Welcome to the future.
Yep.
They should make it a Disney ride.
Our algorithm has detected that that's enough of your bullshit, sir.
Anyway, experts say the use of these risk assessments may be the biggest shift in courtroom decision-making since American judges began accepting social science and other expert evidence more than a century ago. Christopher Griffin, a research director at Harvard Law School's Access to Justice Lab, calls the new digital tools the next step in that revolution. Critics, however, worry that such algorithms might end up supplanting judges' own judgment and possibly even perpetuate biases in ostensibly normal form.
Neutral? Yeah.
No, it does say neutral, my bad. I didn't see T's. I can't see. I'm T-blind. AI gets a lot of attention for the jobs it eradicates. That's not happening to judges, at least not yet. But as in many other white-collar careers that require advanced degrees or other specialized education, AI is reshaping, if not eliminated, some of the judges' most basic tasks, many of which can still have enormous consequences for the people involved. Indeed. Look at that picture. It's some documents. Cash bail, which is designed to ensure that people charged of crimes turn up for trial, has been part of the U.S. court system since its beginning. But forcing defendants to pony up on large sums has drawn fire in recent years for keeping poorer defendants in jail while letting the wealthier go free.
Yeah, and isn't that part of somewhere in the Bill of Rights, the whole thing about, excessive bail?
Studies have also shown it widens racial disparities in pre-trial incarceration. A bipartisan bail reform movement looking for alternatives to cash bail has found in its statistics and computer science AI algorithms that can scour through large sets of courthouse data to search for associations and predict how individual defendants might behave. And you know what's funny is because they say that this is creating discrimination essentially, right? But isn't it shown that AI discriminates itself?
Oh yeah,
what was it? Dude, I wish
the chatbot that at less than 24 hours after.
Not the chatbot. There was a thing about algorithms sorting through stuff, and it was discriminating against black people.
Wow.
Yeah, and it might be in our notes tonight. If not, I'll try to find it, post it to the group. But yeah, so I mean, it's horseshit. Their whole reasoning behind this.
Damn racist computers.
States such as Arizona, Kentucky, and Alaska have adopted these tools, which aim to identify people most likely to flee or commit another crime. Defendants who receive low scores are recommended for release under court supervision. A year ago, New Jersey took an even bigger leap into algorithmic assessments by overhauling its entire state court system for pre-trial proceedings. The state's judges now rely on what's called the Public Safety Assessment Score, developed by the Houston-based Laura and John Arnold Foundation. Boom. I don't know why I said that, but look. I'm telling you, man, this is not good. This is how it starts, man. Look, and we're going to eventually give up all these things to the AI while humanity keeps getting stupider and stupider. If we even manage to survive that long, it's going to be just like Idiocracy. And this show is brought to you by Brondo.
Yeah, what if Idiocracy was the future, was like the point in time? Like, you remember H.G. Wells' The Time Traveler?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if the Idiocracy future is just merely a stepping stone to the Eloy versus Morlocks future.
That tool is part of a larger package of bail reforms that took effect January 17, effectively wiping out the bail bond industry, emptying many jail cells, and modernizing the computer systems that handle court cases. We're trying to go paperless, fully automated. You know, it's funny because they said they were going paperless at my job, and it ended up creating more paper. It's pretty hilarious, man. New Jersey's assessments begin as soon as the suspect is fingerprinted by police. That information flows an entirely new office division called Pretrial Services.
That sounds like 2 steps from pre-crime services.
It is, man. Where cubicle workers oversee how defendants are processed through the computerized system. The first hearing happens quickly, and from the jailhouse, defendants appear by video conference as their risk score is presented to the judge. If released, they get text alerts to remind them of court appearances. Capicella compares the automation to the same way you would buy something from Amazon. Once you're in the system, they've got everything they need on ya. Wow.
Lovely.
Wow. I mean, that's how it is, though. And then all of that gives more time for judges to carefully deliberate based on the best information available, while also keeping people out of jail when they're not a safety threat.
So we can actually just boil this whole thing down to get down to the core extortion of the whole legal process.
It's Judge Jimmy Jackson Jr. next on True TV. Among other things, the algorithm aims.
I thought
to
your
reduce-
head would be bigger.
So yeah, I mean, this is a pretty extensive article. I think I'm going to stop here, but
Yeah.
they're using it. They're saying that it's going to stop biases and stuff, and which it's not gonna, because it's been shown that AI forms its own biases.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're creating something that is thinking, wouldn't that entail biases? I mean, everybody's got biases. We've got biases. You've got biases. Robots got biases.
Well, undark.org has definitely a bias, and I think this is pretty interesting. You mind if we jump to this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
They've definitely got a bias, and their bias is that AI is the weapon of the next Cold War. That's right, folks. Cold War I wasn't enough. You and I, dear sweet listener, we're lucky enough to be alive for Cold War II. This one will be fueled by artificial intelligence, and the world may be entering, or perhaps is already in, another Cold War, and Russia could be leading the way. It's easy to confuse the current geopolitical situation with that of the 1980s. The United States and Russia accuse each other of interfering in domestic affairs. Russia has annexed territory over U.S. objections, raising concerns about the military conflict. As during the Cold War, after World War II, nations are developing and building weapons based on advanced technology. During the Cold War, the weapon of choice was nuclear missiles. Today, it's software, whether it's used for attacking computer systems or targets in the real world. Russian rhetoric about the importance of AI is picking up, with good reason. Fedor is driving. No, as artificial intelligence develops, it will be able to make decisions based on more data, more quickly than humans can handle. As someone who researches the use of AI for applications as diverse as drones, self-driving vehicles, and cybersecurity, I, the author of this article, a guy named Jeremy Straub, worry that the world may be entering, or is perhaps already in, another Cold War fueled by AI, and he's not alone. Just like the Cold War in the 1940s and 50s, each side has a reason to fear its opponent gaining a technological upper hand. In a recent meeting at the Strategic Missile Academy near Moscow, Putin suggested that AI may be the way Russia can rebalance the power shift created by U.S. outspending Russia nearly 10-1 on defense each year. And, isn't that how the USSR fell apart? We basically,
Yeah, but
got them to overspend on defense.
Check it
and
out, man.
bankrupted them.
Check it out. It'll be just like the first Cold War, too, because it'll be the U.S. versus whoever, right? Say Russia. And up front, they're going to be at war. But behind the scenes, they're both controlled by AI who are working with each other.
Mm-hmm. That's the joke.
Yeah.
Joke's on you. So, more than 30 years after the end of the Cold War, U.S. and Russia have decommissioned tens of thousands of nuclear weapons. But tensions are growing. Any modern-day Cold War would include cyber attacks and nuclear power's involvement in allies' conflicts, and it's already happening. Both countries have expelled each other's diplomats. Russia has annexed part of the Crimea. Knock, knock. Who's there? Crimea. Crimea who? Crimea River. Turkey-Syria border war has been even called a proxy war between U.S. and Russia. Both countries, and many others too, still have nuclear weapons, but their use by a major power is still unthinkable to most. However, recent reports show increased public concern that countries might use them. Cyber weapons, however, particularly those powered by AI, are still considered fair game by both sides. Russia and Russian supporting backers have spied electronically, launched cyber attacks against power plants, banks, hospitals, and transportation systems, and against U.S. elections. Russian cyber attackers have targeted the Ukraine and U.S. allies, Britain and Germany. How much you want to bet this guy voted for Hillary?
I'm with her.
So it's quite an article, but let's get to the thesis statements of these. AI can be used to control non-nuclear weapons, including unmanned vehicles like drones, perhaps even recreational McDrone swarms, and cyber weapons. Unmanned vehicles must be able to operate while their communications are impaired, which requires onboard AI control. AI control also prevents a group that's being targeted from stopping or preventing a drone attack by destroying its control facility, because that control is distributed both physically and electronically. Cyber weapons may similarly need to operate beyond the range of communications, and reacting to them may require such rapid response that the responses would be best launched and controlled by AI systems. AI-coordinated attacks can launch cyber or real-world weapons almost instantly, making the decision to attack before a human even notices a reason to. AI systems can change targets and techniques faster than humans can comprehend, much less analyze. For instance, an AI system might launch a drone to attack a factory, observe drones responding to defend, and launch a cyber attack on those drones with no noticeable pause. A country that thinks that its adversaries have or will get AI weapons will want to get them too. Wide use of AI-powered cyber attacks may still be some time away. But man, that would be I think that would be vastly preferable if countries settled their disputes with a giant round of battle bots as opposed to actually killing each other.
It would make for damn good TV too, man.
It really would.
And number one in America.
Countries might agree to a proposed digital Geneva Convention to limit AI conflict, but that won't stop AI attacks by independent nationalist groups, militias, criminal organizations, they already said governments, terrorists, and they already said governments, and others. And countries can back out of treaties. It's almost certain, therefore, that someone will turn AI into a weapon, if they haven't already, which they have, and that everyone else will do so too, even if only out of a desire to be prepared to defend themselves. If the government can have cyber weapons, I should be able to have cyber weapons. But with Russia embracing the AI, that's a good question. Does the Second Amendment apply to cyber weapons? With Russia embracing AI, other nations that don't, or those that restrict AI development, risk becoming unable to compete economically or militarily with countries wielding developed AIs. Advanced AIs can create advantage for a nation's businesses, not just its military, and those without AI may be severely disadvantaged. Perhaps most importantly, though, having sophisticated AIs in many countries could provide a deterrent against attacks, such as what happened with nuclear weapons during the Cold War. So, this Jeremy Straub fellow is an assistant professor of computer science at North Dakota State University, and the article was originally published on The Conversation. And there are links to the article. We will share that with you on our Facebook page, so come on by and check it out.
Hop on in there,
So, we got about.
Man, look, I'm looking at time here, and yeah, we have about.
I'm jonesing for some UFOs, Don.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We got so much good stuff. We got the pyramid. We got the spy nuns.
We got the monkey.
The human Z's. Yeah, the pedo guilt.
Let's jump right into the human Z's, because this is too wild for me, man. Like this is the kind of weird shit that the show is supposed to be about, and I think that. And, of course, this is tabloid stuff. This is coming from thesun.co.uk, but, man, it's interesting. And they lead with, of course, because it's a tabloid, so, of course, they have to say this, going ape inside the bizarre world of human-chimp hybrids known as human Z's.
Human Z's!
As a renowned scientist claims one was born in a Florida lab before being killed by panicked doctors.
Man, how did we not queue up samples for this shit?
I know, right? The only good animal sounds we have at all are, Snarky and Flipper. So,
Gordon Gallup.
Yep.
Let's take a look at that here.
Coined the term human Z. Yeah.
Oh my God. No.
Oh, it kind of looks. Kind of has a.
That's not a human Z, dude. Guaranteed. Look. Scientists has claimed that a human-chimp hybrid was born and then killed in the Florida lab.
yeah, that's
Pictured Oliver the chimp.
I was gonna say, is that Harry Reid?
Hey, we gotta find out about the UFOs, guys. Hey, we gotta find. I don't care. We gotta find out.
Something tells me that chimpanzee is a lot less likely to get beat up over a gambling debt than Harry Reid. But yeah, so what's it? Evolutionary psychologist Gordon Gallup coined the term human Z, which refers to a human-chimp crossbreed, scientifically possible hybridization which was attempted throughout the 20th century. Gallup, who developed the famous mirror self-recognition test, which proves that primates could acknowledge their own reflection, claims that his former university professor told him that a human Z baby was born at a research facility where he used to work. Speaking to the Sun Online, he said, "One of the most interesting cases involved an attempt which was made in what was the first primate. They inseminated a. Did this happen at and claimed wrong about that? I guess somebody got their druther. Weeks they began to consider them, despite the Gallup said it was proven and all other kinds of things. Available evidence in orangutans, a great ape species, common ape-like. So that's something else, man. What would be the appropriate gorilla hybrids and human hybrids? Gorilla asked whether a human Z being brought in, replied, "I think it's have profound psychological implications, but whether the cost justify the benefit, the equation." If you happen to know, or if you've ever made a human Z, go ahead and give us a call, 757-52.
This kind of thing is something that gets talked about kind of frequently with these whistleblowers from these programs. Not even the secret programs, just like
weird shit the government does.
Weird shit that the government does, man. Like
stuff.
Hybridization programs and shit of just normal shit.
Some Island of
like
Dr.
the
Moreau
Pig
type
Man.
shit right
yeah,
there.
like like Man Bear Pig and shit.
Yeah.
Super cereal, you guys.
Oh, who knows? Maybe that's where. Maybe that's what Squatch is. It's just human Z's running around out there.
Maybe.
You never know, man.
Let me see here. Since we're not gonna have time to get to all this shit.
Nah, we've got so much cool stuff for you guys this week.
We're gonna completely
we worked so hard to find interesting articles and random weird stuff to bring to you guys.
And then we read all the dumb shit first. But look, we're gonna totally info bomb this thing. Did we just get a copyright hit for saying info bomb? He stated that the Nordics asked him if he wanted to see them. It was time he negotiated with them if he could take a photo that he could use for disclosure. JP said the Nordics that contacted him are working with the U.S. Air Force, doing missions around Antarctica, in outer space, and giving an overwhelming technology to the Air Force.
Hey, well, at least this is consistent with their narrative.
Right. He added that the technology could manipulate at any point in the air and open a wormhole to other planets. He further stressed that this technology works in flashes, which provide a flash, like a lightning bolt, minus the noise.
Well, I mean, there's no noise in space anyhow, right?
When JP went outside after hearing a voice, he saw them. He managed to take some photos and save them to his phone.
And they even gave us a video.
Oh, this comes from Exo. Oh, this is Dr. Sala putting this up, huh?
Right on.
Oh, we're going to get yelled at for this one, too, I bet.
It's only a minute. Is that long enough?
No, it's just a picture. It's not an actual video.
Yeah.
All right, so what I would like to point out here, if you take a look at this craft,
it's more like a
saucer,
like a cream, like an Oreo cream sandwich.
Yeah, it's like a fudge covered Oreo, a moldy fudge covered Oreo.
Maybe it kind of looks like a
shape of the craft. This is what, a saucer. That's how you describe this? on a burger. That's something real quick. Find much, but I found something on Gaia TV. It was from Dr. Sala, but the Gaia up there for you. What I put? You have a sphere.
Or that's okay.
Yeah. Where is it?
To be a Nordic 757-528-81. Tell us about your burger.
Yeah, if anybody out there listening has some knowledge about that, what the Nordics are out there flying around in, you can give us a call, like you said. Man, I'm trying to have a...
You pick up that phone and dial.
There we go. Modes of transportation. Nordics are generally observers. Some contactees from within their spherical to cigar shape. Okay, so here's the thing. What do we know about taking this for what it is? You know, like I said, I wasn't able to really find a whole lot in the short amount of time I had to do it. Who do we know flying around in discs?
Some Nordics from Earth?
No. Who's flying around that we know of?
Darkfleet?
No, Darkfleet's not flying around in discs. ARVs, man.
Oh, yeah.
Earth human on a disc.
Solar
all right?
Warden.
No, not even Solar Warden, man. Just like regular Area 51 shit.
You think the vanilla military has TR-3Bs and stuff now?
Man, possibly the Air Force.
Okay, that's believable.
You know what I mean? So, but look, those ARVs and stuff are under military. It's us flying those, right? So we're typically, and then we go back to the Betty and Barney Hill abductions and that shaped craft and the Nazis he described inside of it. So yeah, typically the saucer-shaped ones, we're seeing us in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so they're jumping down. He's saying he's being telepathically contacted by them.
Well, and they mention here in this article that the Nordics are supposedly from the Pleiades, but they don't mention Procyon. And who is it that told us that there were Nordic aliens originating from Procyon?
I don't know. There's so much information that varies from each other out on Nordic beings that it's either just tons of disinfo or there's several different races that are considered Nordics, that are called Nordics because maybe they look alike or something. But there's a lot of conflicting info out there. And
now they also mentioned planet Venus. In here. It says first began appearing to contact the such as Betty and from the planet Venus timeline, and later the Pleiades started. Whether as the origin planet, or it's possible that they wish to keep them for security reasons,
unless they live underground here.
That's possible. Nordic brothers. They are thought to be religions and ancient civilizations. Entities that others foretold in the Vril Society. The Vril Society was influenced by exist malevolent entities that are working. Yeah, they look is 5 to 7 feet tall. Nordics lack irises. And visiting our planet, and those who have been in contact with explore our planet.
Wouldn't that mean?
Yeah.
So wouldn't that develop in?
You would think.
Maybe they're from underground.
That makes sense. Lack a sense of smell. Density beings. observers these from within their craft, which range from spherical to cigar shaped. Hey, and here's where things start getting fuzzy for me. As part of the Galactic Federation, Nordics often keep their distance from humanity, communicating telepathically or through dreams. Because
so that part would line up. But I mean, what we know about voice to skull technology and some synthetic telepathy, I mean, we've done shows and
Humans
shows and
can do
shows
that too,
on that
yeah,
shit. We could do that to
exactly.
each other. And it being a disc-shaped craft is what kind of throws me, because you never really hear that with Nordics, right?
Yeah. So maybe there is some sort of prime directive that they're not trying to violate.
So they like just stole a ship and like flew down and contacted somebody so they would be under the radar and be like, no, it was the reticulize that did it. Right?
Ensign Crusher, can you tell me what's the difference between the prime directive and your mother? What's that, Captain? I've never violated the prime directive. Now,
up next we've got...
Get off my bridge!
Yes, thank you, Dan. Get off my bridge. Up next we've got UFO sighting, mass UFO sighting. Large group of UFOs seen in 3 days in the USA locations, 3 locations in the USA on the same day. Excuse me. Whew. Just got really tired all of a sudden. They're shooting me with tired beams.
With you, they're using directed energy weapons to sap your strength, so you can't read these articles.
Let's talk about pierogies. Exclusive UFO investigators are looking at 3 separate sightings of multiple UFOs which occurred in the U.S. less than 8 hours. Details of the sightings have been reported to the National UFO Reporting Center, NUFORC, based in the U.S., which investigates and records such sightings. One incident happened at 12:45 in Pasadena, California, when at least 5 circular UFOs were seen. The unarmed witness said in a report to NUFORC, "My cousin went outside to throw away the trash after we finished eating breakfast, and he had to get a new fork because he accidentally threw his fork away. He then returns and tells everyone that there are UFOs outside. I thought he was joking. But his wife went outside to look. First my wife followed, and then my kids, and then I followed. I looked up in the sky and I saw shiny dots in the sky, observed the objects, and then returned inside to get my iPhone to document what I saw. We continued watching the objects for 15 minutes or so. Everyone else went back inside, and I continued watching the UFOs. Witness later said a father and son then showed the objects in the sky. He said, I asked if they looked like drones. He replied, no way. Let's take a look at this video we got.
Let's see if it comes out. Where is it at? Somewhere, was it by a cloud? Or I can't even see it.
Man, did you see that?
There it is. I saw it on my phone.
Here we go.
I got it, Chris. 3 of them, Chris. Look. Dude, those can't be drones. If those are drones, now there's 4. Look, Chris, 5. Dude, but those are some sophisticated ass drones. If those are drones.
Why would you
What
say
makes
that?
them
Too high.
sophisticated?
Yeah, they're just chilling there. They're not doing anything crazy.
Wow. Finally got it on tape, man. That is cool. Wow, Chris, I got it.
I guess the interesting thing about this is that it was seen
That's what I did with my daughter, Chris, when I was young.
in 3 places within 8 hours across the U.S. So details of the sighting, okay, blah, blah, blah. The witness later saw a father and son. They showed him the objects in the sky. He said, I asked if they look like drones. He replied, no way. No way. Sky for approximately an hour. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. I observed planes in the air. Compared to them, when I saw the objects were much higher. The objects seemed to hover and remain still. One was slowly moving as the others remained still. I was able to observe the UFOs for close to an hour. Well, an hour. I don't know what the drones that can go up way high that is. You know what I mean? An hour.
You know, I would really be amazed.
Doesn't seem like out of the question. Hour.
I would be really amazed if a lot of the drones the government is using, you can't just power remotely using microwaves from space. They probably don't need to go back and recharge.
New Fork said 7 observers witnessed a cluster of at least 5 tiny white objects that hovered almost motionless in a clear, cloudless sky for approximately an hour. High-quality video footage of the event accompanied the written report. Our initial thought was that the objects might have been seagulls soaring in the upwelling wind, but the objects not appear to look or behave like birds. Yeah, they are kind of just chilling. Express.co UK showed the video to Scott Brando, not to be confused with Brando,
Or to be confused.
our sponsor, who runs debunking website ufointerest.org. He said he believes they were just a group of helium balloons that had been caught on the wind and were slowly rising away.
See, I could see that on this one.
Possibly, but the whole 3 different places within 8 hours, man, same thing.
I mean, the winds up there go really fast, so.
He said he believes they were... Okay, the second sighting was at 2:30, also January 13th, about 90 miles to the south in Carlsbad, California, when 5 oval or circular objects were seen. So 2:30, and the first one was at when? Well, I can't remember for.
What's it?
2:30.
Yeah, the second was at 2:30.
And the first one was...
12:45.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so 2.5 hours, and then 8 hours.
Yeah, another one in
How long does it take?
Hollywood.
How long does it take to fly from the East Coast to the West Coast? If you were to just do it straight.
Like 4 or 5 hours.
He wrote to New Fork, while I was scanning some edges of a few clouds and some contrails looking toward the west over the ocean around 2:30 p.m., I noticed one very outstanding whitish that possibly changing viewing angle had something to do with the shape change, although at times the object seemed to either be vibrating or rotating.
So it might have had some sort of spatial cloaking thing on it so you can't really see what it is. Or, maybe they weren't actually seeing the hull of the object itself so much as they were the fields propelling it.
Right, or what it's doing, its effect on the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That object suddenly appeared and was very slowly moving towards the ocean and back nearly directly overhead just above where I live. As I continued watching, I noticed another object moving very slowly, coming directly out of the setting sun direction and moving very slowly in direct horizontal line towards the first object in what looked like a collision course. These objects went from a white color to sometimes a shimmering metallic or reflective mylar look, but it wasn't solid looking when it began shimmering. It seemed to flash as if it had multiple surfaces. As I continued to view the 2 objects, I watched a third that seemed to drop down from above. My focus to an altitude similar to the other 2 objects, and north of them again, the 3 maneuvered back into a horizontal line with quite a bit of difference between each other. So, dropped down from above and came back up. 2 of them split apart, came back, lined up again. After that maneuver, they then broke the line and moved closer to form a triangle formation, and slowly and then back towards my viewing position. Behavior of a
No, not.
watching these fifth object material. The other 2, more than 2. Right was another sighting. Enforcement officer, what some people would call a credible witness. The witness said simply, "Numerous orange lights observed moving slowly above the ocean from north to south. Called it into the station. They told me to shut my mouth." All lights disappeared simultaneously. New Fork was also sent video. It said, New Fork is attempting to determine what the wind direction and velocity were at the time of the sighting, in an attempt to rule out the possibility that the lights may have been sky lanterns or so-called Chinese lanterns. Chinese lanterns are often mistaken for UFOs as they drift in groups before disappearing as the internal flame goes out. Mr. Brando said the second sighting in Carlsbad was likely to be the same helium balloons traveling south. He believes the objects seen in Florida were Chinese lanterns and unrelated. And that's possible too. I mean, something like this with, just a few seconds of video, and it's hard to say, man.
Well, and we've got lots of good UFO sightings from down here on Earth, but what about getting some from up in space? That'd be pretty rad, huh?
Well, that was the gold one.
Yeah. Yeah, this is coming from Daily Mail. What is this mysterious glowing object in the ISS live feed? Conspiracy theorists claim NASA is covering up aliens as video appears to show massive golden UFO before it suddenly cuts out.
Street cap, at it again.
Yep.
Street cap, at it again.
It was spotted in 2016 by the ISS live feed before the video
Man, it
cuts
looks
out
like
suddenly.
lightning or something, doesn't it? Is that what he's saying down there? That little gold piece down there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if it's one frame out of a video, yeah, I could totally see that being lightning. But apparently they have video down here. It's full video. It's all of 36 seconds.
Yeah, it's video of a still.
No, it's no. That's not actually a still. That's moving. So you can tell like that actually is a thing. Like it's not just lightning, but you can see with the Earth rotating in the background. That's not.
Am I sending this out? Yeah.
That's not just.
Watch full video. It's the shiny white spot on the screen. Now, could that be like reflections off of a cloud?
No, I don't know. I don't know. It looks like something, man. It definitely looks like something in
weird.
orbit. Because you see how it moves? It kind of wiggles relative to the clouds behind it.
Not really. I'm not seeing
Maybe
that.
I've just had too much of this damn NOS stuff.
Rondo, it's got the disclosure you want. Yeah, I don't know, bro. Very interesting.
Well, the YouTuber claims this massive object seen is a golden UFO.
Is it golden triangle headed UFO?
Yeah, man, that'd be awesome. You know what? What is that? We are being penetrated by.
Oh man, they're hitting
Waves
us with
from
the
beyond.
damn.
No, what? What? Huh?
Maybe it's this. Yep. Such back. No clothes.
I could have sworn that was my MK Ultra trigger noise. Please stand by. The high-definition Earth viewing experiment is either switching cameras or we're experiencing a temporary loss
You
of
know
signal
what though,
at the
man?
International Space Station.
You know what though? That shit does happen a lot. And you know, I'm not saying one thing or another about it. I'm just saying it does happen a lot.
You're not going to leave the camera on when your Space Coke shows up.
Space Coke. Space Coke.
Telling you, that's what's going on up there.
I thought I was seeing things at first, then quickly started recording, the YouTuber wrote. This has to be huge, whatever it is. If it was a building, it would be hundreds of miles long. Yeah, it was pretty fucking big, man. While it might seem extraordinary, or even alarming to some, claims of this kind aren't all that uncommon. They really don't. They're really not, though. People who doubt moon landings are more likely to be What the fuck is that?
What?
Oh, look, it's like a
People
little
who
mini article inside of the article. Believe in conspiracy theories? You're probably a narcissist. Crickets on that? I'm angry! Your reaction time, dude. What you been smoking? People who doubt the moon... No, I'm not going to read this. This is bullshit. Fuck you. I'm not a narcissist. There's shit going on I want us to know about. Last year alone has brought countless claims with conspiracy sharing footage of every and fireballs cloaking technology. There's almost always a simple explanation.
Okay, to anybody who says just because that you're a conspiracy means that you're a narcissist is
lick my balls. Yeah. There are a number of common phenomena called strange objects to appear in the image, including lightning storms of the light. In the past, NASA spokesperson has explained to Daily Mail from station windows with the spacecraft structure itself or lights on Earth commonly appear in photos and videos operating laboratory.
that's reasonable.
That is reasonable. All of it, I don't think, can.
No.
Does it seem to travel this way? This ain't it. What's that? All right, forget.
Well, then you know what we should watch.
X-Files.
Oh, no. UFO from Texas. Okay.
It'll be a fast. To all the lights and viral video.
Narcissist. Thank you.
Now this one here, if you take a look, it looks like.
But don't the Phoenix lights kind of all look like flares until they start doing something wacky?
Yeah, but these don't really do anything wacky. And the Phoenix lights were on all at once, and it stayed there for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean,
that all could be explained by flares.
Like, it looks like a flare until it doesn't, and it does something.
It still could be explained as a flare, man. I mean, let's just so you guys know what I'm talking about, and I'm not just trying to be like, oh, fuck that, blah, blah, blah. Because y'all know I believe in that, so it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this shit. I'm sick of people looking at shit and being like, aliens, when it's just a perfectly, normal explanation for that. Not saying they're all not aliens. And some may be aliens and some may be secret space program shit, but there's some stuff that you got to look at and you just got to be like, hey, man, come on, this looks awfully like a flare.
And sometimes it's just a flare. It's not always.
There it is.
Breakaway space Nazis.
You see how they do it? And he even caught the plane doing it in that clip. It's just for a second you can see the plane flying away.
Oh, like a plane dropping flares?
That's exactly what this is, or a helicopter, whatever they're dropping them out. That's not UFOs, that's flares.
Yeah. Yeah, I see the blinky lights, the nav lights.
Then we've got, this could be something. Think about it. If they really wanted people to get in an uproar about UFOs and aliens, and people mistake this kind of thing for a UFO all the time, it would make sense that they would just fly around and fucking be dropping these things out just to freak everybody out if that's what they wanted. And again, here is another flare. So this is an iridium flare. Okay, these are not spacecraft. These are flares. Even though it looks, look at that. It's the same video. It's just a different version of it. Yeah, but yeah, you get it, man.
I thought flares were brighter.
It just depends, man.
I guess
because they make them out of different materials. So some will be brighter than others, and some will be cosmically bright. You know what I mean? Like they got ones that they use, they're like weaponized almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I've actually seen people who couldn't legally have a gun carry a flare gun as a weapon.
Well, we're not talking about flares that you shoot up in the air. We're talking about flares that are getting lit off by airplanes.
Yeah,
They're getting
like military
dropped out.
flares.
Yeah. Before we run out of time, we definitely need to get into these last two over here that were in the promo. First one we're going to go with is the pyramid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the pyramid.
I looked at this thing on the maps, and I'm skeptical, but let's go ahead and see what everybody else out there who's not going to pick up their phone and dial 757-528-8130.
I don't think anybody's even listening anymore at this point, man. I think we're like, here, how about you? Look,
I know I'm going to go.
This is express. Okay. But whatever. Mile pyramid discovered at the ocean. Or object described as the sea be a clue to the psychological city of Atlantis. Sorry. So, man, dark triangular. There's a 90 there.
But
I just showed it. I saw before they put the lines on.
It's all over the planet.
That is true.
Like, in fact, some of the.
And this is something that the only way I guess we're ever gonna find Earth until they update and see what you got. But
now the Black Omen is. You get to pick which time period you get to go fight it in.
All right, so the structure estimated to be. It's just a base. human deep sea base. They say they actually, yeah, I mean, under the, maybe you won't see a shape on. Too.
Yeah, maybe it's just a massive USO.
It's drawn a vast UFO, even an alien. I got the. The discovery was made. Igusta. Egazus. Speak Argentine, right? Spanish. Right there. Look. It looks. I mean, I more pyramid like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's
marine. With the, he says in a video, being an similar to a plane. It's a perfect estimate. Is an ancient civilization. Find this video real quick and see. Come on, zoom. Oh, I gotta. Spinning around like.
I like to go around on the Google Earth a lot too. Tonight, I'm gonna get gas crater.
Coast of Mexico.
Yeah.
How miles away was that?
Yeah.
Now that side is under the water. Kinds of activity and stuff coming out the ocean. You know, who knows, man? But like something didn't like map the area only way. I mean, enough to do something like that. Looking at Google Earth for images.
You know, I really think it's just a mountain.
Hey,
you know,
man.
I'd love to see what happens if we send a robotic vehicle down there and check it out. And you know, I guess we got about 2 minutes left until the top of the hour, and I wanted to kind of close that on a weird headline that I kind of noticed. This is local weird news.
Okay, go for it.
They found a skull.
They found a skull.
A skull.
Like, were they singing the Misfits when they found it?
Nope. Sheriff. Resident finds skull in Perkins County. This is in North Carolina. What's it? Right past Elizabeth City. Hertford, North Carolina. This is from Wavy 10. An investigation is underway after authorities say a Perkins County resident found a human skull over the weekend. Perkins County Sheriff Shelby White tells Wavy.com the resident discovered the skull lying on the ground Saturday in the New Hope area of Hertford. A medical examiner will examine the skull. White says identical records check and DNA testing will be performed. So, just out of randomly, skull! Whose skull? The world may never know.
I know a couple people who live down there that might be involved with that particular thing.
Oh, boy. Well, if you happen to be missing your skull, we found it. Call in 528-8130. Tell us all.
Yeah, I mean, we're supposed to come off now, but there's a couple more articles that I think I want to talk about before we close.
And we're not in any big rush.
We do what we want. Doesn't matter. Could be, you know, whatever. We do it.
So what do you want to cover, Don?
Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about was... Where'd it go?
You want to give them a little mini 5-minute break and come back for like 10 to 15 minutes? We could do that.
Nah, you know what? Screw it. We're done. We'll see you next week, guys.
Oh,
Thanks for watching. Yeah.
You just want to call it?
I'm gonna post the rest of the stuff to the group. Yeah, I'm getting tired, man. I gotta go to work tomorrow. Sorry, guys.
Me too. Well, it's been swell.
So next. Oh, before we go,
What's that?
I've got 2 more interviews coming up in the works for you guys. One is gonna be in March, on March 7th. That's gonna be Kevin Tremo, Solar Warden, and I've got another one that's not locked in yet, so I'm not gonna tell you, but it'll be soon before I know. And if you're out there listening and you think you got what we wants to hear, you can hit us up, man. See about getting on the show, whatever.
Yeah, if you have what conspiracy theorists crave.
Brondo. Speaking of which.